Hello and welcome back. Today, I will explain the anime, Bento. Sato lies bloodied in the middle of a supermarket as shoppers make a spectacle of him. His only clue as to what happened is a vague memory of a woman walking away with a plastic bag. The shop attendant comes to wake him, but he springs to action to everyone's surprise. His gaze locks with Yoriji, who watches from outside the shop. She whispers something to him before she sets off. A confused Sato's stomach rumbles, reminding him of the main reason he came to shop. He makes his way to the noodle section to find it completely cleared out. He is on a tight budget, so he buys some fish cakes to keep his stomach busy. As he exits the store, he thinks back to what the strange girl could have said to him since she was inaudible. Based on her lip movements, he concludes that she confessed her love to him, which gets him too excited and passes out. The following day, the high school freshman is discharged from the hospital with his fish cake in hand. He makes his way straight to school with no recollection of what happened the previous night. Oshiro calls him from the shadows, relieved to see that he's okay, but Sato doesn't have a clue who she is. As they discuss, he discloses that all he remembers was being hungry and going to the supermarket to buy a bento. After that, everything blacked out. Oshiro stops in her tracks, shocked that he actually doesn't remember, meaning, he doesn't recall their meeting, which upsets her briefly, but it quickly turns to excitement as she walks off, not willing to tell him what happened. When they arrived at school, Sato sees Yoriji taking out some trash and claims that she looks familiar as they lock eyes again. While he tries to recall, Oshiro is quickly swiped away by Shiraum. He only realizes that she's gone when he goes to talk to her. Yoriji comes and gives him some of the trash bags to help her dispose it. He notices that there are a lot of bento containers inside. She gets straight to the point and warns him to stay away from the supermarket. During lunchtime, he finally eats his fish cakes while still trying to piece things together when he's suddenly confronted by the class president, Shiraum. She slaps him and warns him to stay away from Oshiro, while Uchimoto takes note. Sato has enrolled in a private senior high where he boards. The dorm provides breakfast but no lunch and dinner. Deducting daily expenses from his monthly funds means he only has little to spend on dinner. Later that evening, he's accompanied by Oshiro as they enter the same supermarket he was warned to stay away from. When they enter, all seems normal, but as he makes his way to the bento section, some people seem to be eyeing him. Yoriji walks past him and comments on him not listening to her warning. Sato turns back and notices that the shop attendant is putting half-price stickers on the bentos. He joyfully runs over to pick one, but it quickly turns to dread. When he regains consciousness, he's bloodied up again and he hears the name Ice Cold Witch, but he mistakes it for a drink with the same name. As he passes out again, he sees a lady walking away. While unconscious, the events of the previous night start coming to him. He was beaten and sent flying by Yoriji. Sato is woken up with water by Abura, an employee at the store, while Oshiro is still unconscious. He explains to Sato that some people put their pride on the line and use the supermarkets to test themselves. He warns him to steer clear of the half-priced bentos. The freshman thinks it's a joke and laughs it off, but Abura is deadly serious, further alerting that the wolves could kill him for having that kind of attitude. The store is the Ice Cold Witch's hunting ground. The following night, the duo makes their way back to the supermarket where they wait for Abura to put the half-price stickers on the bentos. As soon as he leaves the shop floor, pandemonium erupts. They fight to get to the bentos like a mob on Black Friday sales. Sato tries to get involved but is taken out by Yoriji and the other wolves. Turns out that she didn't confess her love for him that night, but rather called him an idiot. The poor lad lies there as the last bento is taken. The following day, Sato and Oshiro pay Yoriji a visit. She explains that they are still dogs and don't understand the rules, but they can learn how to fight and become wolves. After some physical coercion, they sign up for the Half-Pricers Club. That evening, Yoriji gives them a crash course on how things work. The West District has a number of shops with a particular time their bentos go on sale. Each mart has a discount deity. For example, the Hokies deity is Abura. No one moves until the discount deity leaves the shop floor. One does not hunt for more than they can eat that night. Once someone claims a bento, they are to be left alone. The final rule is to observe etiquette and fighters must put their pride on the line. The newbies later participate in a fight but ultimately lose. They move to the Super Tokiwa Mart hoping to get a better result. While there, the wolves Agoa Jinbuzu try to stop a large lady nicknamed Boar from taking the bentos before the discount deity finishes labeling them, but they fail in doing so. She takes everything, leaving everyone to buy cup noodles instead. While Sato and Oshiro share their food, Kaneshiro watches on. After being slapped in school again by Shiraum for the same offense, Sato later makes his way back to the Super Tokiwa to fight for a bento. This time, the boar comes back again and is joined by the Ruby team and Kaneshiro, also known as the Wizard. The freshman gives up and reaches for a cup noodle, but Kaneshiro encourages him to be a wolf and fight. They team up and manage to incapacitate the boar with some fancy footwork. Both of them face the Ruby team but are later joined by other wolves. As they beat their way through, Sato experiences the pride of a wolf for the first time. He also manages to win his first bento in the process. Back at the club room, Yoriji congratulates him on his first win and notices he picked up a laurel wreath. This is a special sticker that indicates it being the best bento that day, which makes him the absolute victor. She allows him to put the sticker inside a book with other great stickers. Kaneshiro's name is also there to his surprise. They later enjoy the spoils of their victory. The next morning at school, Shiraum humiliates Sato by stripping him half naked in front of the class, all because she's jealous of his friendship with Oshiro. Yoriji offers to sew his torn clothes for him, but she throws it out the window when he annoys her. The class president interrupts to officially approve Sato's and Oshiro's club application. Now that the club has 3 members, they can continue to function. Meanwhile, the 2 newcomers have caught the attention of the hunting pack, who are members of the Kendo club that also participate in the Bento Wars. They are led by Mr. Dando, a teacher at the school. Sato and Oshiro join them on a few hunts, but the freshmen are discouraged by the way they acquire their bentos. The group uses their numbers to hold off the attacks, allowing for easy pickings. Without the struggle, the bentos don't taste the same, so Sato rejects their offer to join by causing a brawl where he defeats the club captain Yamahara. Mr. Dando tries to interfere, but realizes Sato has the eyes of a wolf and not a dog, so he lets him go. Yoriji welcomes the duo back and gives them keys to the club room. Elsewhere at the Super Kasumaya Mart, the Lady of the Lake defeats her competition to claim her half-priced bento of choice while Nikedu watches on. The following morning, Sato wakes up to his cousin Shaga in his room. After harassing him a bit, she has a bet with him over some video games. He has to acquire a female school uniform for her, so he asks Oshiro if he can borrow one of hers. Later that evening, Sato makes his way to the club room only to find Shaga there harassing Oshiro. She used the uniform to infiltrate the school. Yoriji is a little shocked that his cousin is the Lady of the Lake. He too is equally flabbergasted that she's a wolf and even has an alias. When someone with an alias sets foot on a rival's turf, a fight must ensue. The ice-cold witch agrees that it's going down at the Hoki Mart that night. Shiraum overhears the harassment while on the phone with Oshiro and rushes over to discipline Sato, but she finds his cousin is the culprit, so she decides to deal with her by giving her a bath because she looks disheveled. Meanwhile, Nikedu reports to the monarch on his data collection on all the Western District's principal wolves. The results of Shaga's bath are evident when she calls Sato to meet up with her. She is dressed with clothes from 9th century Europe. He teases her a bit before they make their way to the mart for the fight. An intense melee erupts as the Ice-Cold Witch and the Lady of the Lake struggle for the ginger fried pork bento, but Ice-Cold ultimately wins. Meanwhile, Sato also faces Nikedu for the tofu patty bento and wins his fight too, but he shares some of his food with Shaga to cheer her up. Nikedu goes back to complete his report to the boss of the West Side District. With this information, the monarch decides to start making his move. In the interim, Shaga waits for Sato, who is sneaking to her school at the east side so that they can go to the Grand Hokkaido Fair at Ralph's store. He gives the security the slip, but he loses his clothes in the process, resulting in him wearing Oshiro's borrowed uniform. He is introduced to Asebi, whose bad luck is so strong that it's contagious. After a brief interaction with her, everything starts going wrong for him. They later make their way to the supermarket where everyone makes fun of his outfit. Half-price bento time arrives as everybody fights for the discounted food. Suddenly, Gabriel Ratchet, who are the loyal servants of the monarch, appear and surround Sato. The monarch himself enters and beats the freshman while everyone watches in horror. Endo declares war between the East and West. Sato wakes up in the back of the store where Shaga explains to everyone that the monarch is mainly doing this to redeem themselves. His predecessor lost to the West Side and he's still bitter over it. Armed with this information, Yoriji calls a meeting with the wolves of the Western District where she briefs them on the current situation. The Ice-Cold Witch announces her plan to confront Endo directly by marching into his store. She orders Sato and Oshiro to take care of her turf while she's gone. Meanwhile, Shaga does some investigation and finds out that Matsuba, the current discount deity of Ralph's store, was the previous top wolf of the East Side. She was known as the Monarch Butterfly, but she lost to her rival the Wizard, which led her to retire and settle down. After hearing the full story, the lady quickly rushes to Super Tokiwa Mart where she drags Sato as he prepares to defend their turf from the Gabriel Ratchet. His cousin alerts him that based on her information, the monarch is actually after Yoriji. Coincidentally, they overhear some students gossiping about a recent attack on a girl, so they hurry to the scene only to find a pool of blood. Meanwhile, an injured Yoriji makes her way to Ralph's store to confront the monarch. Nikedu sees that it's not a fair matchup, so tries to interfere, but he is knocked out by Endo while Matsuba watches on helplessly. As he turns to attack the Ice-Cold Witch, Sato shouts, which stops the monarch in his tracks. The freshman and Shaga join the fight as they team up to take down Endo with a sweet combo. Yoriji picks up a normal bento, allowing the cousins to battle it out for the laurel wreath bento. Sato comes out as the victor as they exit holding one another. Oshiro also reports that she successfully defended their turf. When Nikedu regains consciousness, Matsuba alerts him that Gabriel Ratchet is disbanding, so he should live freely. The episode ends when the West gang relax at a park to enjoy their bentos. Part 2 will be out soon. Thank you for watching to the end. Please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more recaps like this.